Hello and welcome to today's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and a puzzle I've been looking forward to having a go at. It's called Earth Wurm, where Wurm is spelt W-U-R-M. That might mean it's meant to be Wurm. I'm not sure, but it's a collaboration between Nordy and yttrio, two constructors I hold in the highest regard. It's got a whopping high rating. It's been recommended to us a lot, and if you just have a look at some of these comments, one of the comments on here is so brilliant that really I have to read it out, even though it's a tiny bit risque. But Calvin Bull writes, listen here, son. Sometimes when two setters love Sudoku very much, they turn the lights off and strip away as many clues as they can, and when all is said and done, the two of them will have conceived a miracle. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. I mean, the comments are just so fantastic. And look at this grid. Well, you can look at it. There's not much in it. I think that's the whole point. It's a sort of, we have to build a snake in it, but with really not much to go on. So it is. You'll see this when I read the rules. This is somewhat miraculous that this can have a unique solution, or perhaps let's qualify that slightly. Perhaps it's miraculous that it has a unique solution that's enjoyable to solve. I could imagine that a computer could crunch its way through certain rule sets like this, but obviously that is not what's happening. It is meant to be a joy to solve, and we'll have a look at Nordy and yttrio's puzzle in a moment or two's time. Put my teeth in. Or back in. I don't have much news for you today. I don't have any birthdays, so just the appeal that we sometimes make, which is if you do enjoy the channel, please think about subscribing. It helps to teach the algorithm that people love variant Sudoku puzzles, and quite a lot of them do, especially once they get into it. Once you start to learn some of the terminology and the tricks and the tips, you will find that this is a wonderful world of logic. So consider subscribing. We do have our Patreon channel as well, which is the best Sudoku club on Earth. Fantastic new content every month, including competitions and very long solves of very hard puzzles and loads of cryptic crossword bonuses as well. So that's over on Patreon. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen, but why don't we get on with the solving and have a look at Earth Wurm's rules. This is what we have to do. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply, so we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. And then we have to construct a 1-cell wide snake of orthogonally connected cells whose two endpoints are given as circles. Right, so this is the head and the tail of the snake. And what does it mean, a snake of orthogonally connected cells? Well, that means the snake can't do this sort of thing. Because if the snake starts to move diagonally like this, these two cells here are not orthogonally connected. Orthogonally connected means shares an edge, not touches at a point. These do touch at a point, but they don't share an edge, so they're not orthogonally connected. We can make the snake orthogonally connected by doing something like that. And now all these cells are orthogonally connected, and this possibly could be a way the snake would move. But yeah, that's what we have to do. Now it then says the snake cannot branch and cannot touch itself orthogonally, but may touch itself diagonally. So what that means, let's try and work that out. That means that it could do something like that. No, I lost my example. Like that. Because here you can see the snake has touched itself diagonally, and that's allowed under the rules. What it couldn't do, let's fiddle with the snake slightly. It couldn't do this, so we couldn't claim that this was the snake and it was sort of going along here, and then because these two cells of snake touch one another orthogonally, and that's too naughty for words, so don't do that. Now there are more rules. It says all squares are on the snake, so we've got some square cells or cells containing squares that have to be on the snake. A digit in a square gives the number of snake cells seen in all horizontal and vertical directions combined, including the cell with the square. Non-snake cells block the vision. So let's have a look at this square. If the snake did that through this square, then I think what that means is that that square is a 3. because you can see 3 cells, horizontally and vertically, including the cell itself. Let's do a different example and see if we can get, so let's say it does that, say. Now this time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this would be a 6, I think, because it sees 4 that way and 2 that way. And obviously none of these, I'm saying that none of those, well in fact none of those could be snake cells under the rules of the puzzle. So this, I think, would be a 6. Now, there's one more rule which is, I think, important. The snake acts as a German whisper line. So adjacent digits on the snake must have a difference of at least 5. So hopefully you might have seen some videos we've done before which incorporate rules like this. So imagine this was the snake and this square here was a 2. Then these squares would have to be at least equal to 7, each of them, because they have to be at least 5 different from 2. So the only digits, the only sudoku digits that this could possibly be would be 7, 8 and 9, and the same would be true for this square. And we'd have to continue that. So imagine this was 8, then this square would have to be a 1, 2 or a 3 to be at least 5 different from 8, etc. Those are the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And the first thing I'm going to do, before I even reveal secrets about German Whisper's snakes, is I'm going to highlight cells that we know are on the snakes. So we know all of these are snake cells. I'm going to use grey for snake today. And we know, well, we know these are heads and tails of the snake. So these cells don't have an entry and an exit. They only have an exit, if you like. So these are cul-de-sac snake cells, but these, the snake has to move through, so the corner cell there must be like that. Right, and the snake doesn't touch itself orthogonally, so it can't loop down into row 2, column 2. So that's definitely not snake, which means the snake must continue here. And now this is definitely not snake, or the snake would branch. So the snake has to emerge from its corner here into this square. Now it could take that one, couldn't it? Because if it took that one, it still wouldn't have, it would touch it diagonally, but providing it didn't also take this one, it would be okay. Okay, I'm slightly surprised that that's as far as that logic takes us. That's a bit worrying. I forgot to look at how difficult this was. Okay, so perhaps, oh, I see. No, right, I can see some things we can do with this. Right. Okay, so I think now we do want to switch our attention to thinking about the fact that this has to move as a German Whispers line, and I need to reveal some secrets that I know about German Whispers lines. Let's think about whether any snake cell in this puzzle, let's make it this one, could this be a 5? Now the answer is no, because if we did make this a 5, the next snake cell, wherever that was, couldn't exist, because you need a digit that's at least 5 different from 5, and if you go up you get to 10, which is not a Sudoku digit, and higher digits than that are also obviously not Sudoku digits. It's now snowing, and then no, snowing harder, and then if you go down you get to 0 or lower, also not valid Sudoku digits. Good grief. This weather is so bad at the moment. Anyway, so you can't put 5 on a German Whispers line. Now, the effect of that is to cause the snake to oscillate between digits that are lower than 5 and digits that are higher than 5. What do I mean by oscillate? Well, let's say we know that this digit can't be a 5, so its property is either that it's lower than 5 or that it's higher than 5. Now let's say it's higher than 5. What could we then say immediately about its neighbours on the snake? Well, if this is higher than 5, this cannot be a 6, 7, 8 or 9. Again, it cannot be a higher than 5 digit, because even if this was 9 and you only deducted 5 from it, which is the minimum you could deduct, you'd still get to 4. So this is just wrong. So you'd have to do this, you'd have to do this. And you can see that the snake then oscillates, has this sort of property going on. And that's going to apply along the length of the snake. Now, because this snake moves orthogonally, there is a trick that I've seen before in puzzles that have this sort of this sort of constraint, which I think is going to be massively powerful. And it's to do with sort of chessboard, bishop's colours. And I think particularly we want to have a quick look at this square, which can't be a 5. So at the moment it sees 5 snake cells, but it can't be a 5 because it's on the snake, so it's at least a 6. Now the moment this is at least a 6, we get to do lots of things. Firstly, we get to highlight this cell as grey, because it must see at least 6. It might be going as far as 9, but it must be at least 6. Then we can think about this oscillating property, but that oscillating property is going to travel throughout the grid. So any snake cell, so we can see immediately that in the immediate sort of environ of this cell, these have to be high now. Wow, these have to be high digits by this German whispers logic. So those are all low, and that's low as well. But let's think about this cell, which we know is on the snake, and we actually know the sort of number that must now be in this, because for the snake to get to this cell, it doesn't matter what path it takes. It doesn't matter how circuitous the route. It will get to this square in an odd number of steps from here. Let's test that out. If it goes immediately directly like this, it will take 1, 2, 3 cells. If it goes, let's put it on a much less obvious path. So let's say it went that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, an odd path. And that's basically because of the orthogonal nature of the way that the snake must move. In order to get to this square, it's got to get back, or it can't keep on this same bishop's colour as this square. Now what does that mean as the property of this square, so far as German whispers lines are concerned? Well, it must be on the opposite bishop's colour to this square, which means that this square is a high digit. Now we can propagate this, so we can just start to draw diagonals. Again, you can see this one is actually on the same diagonal or bishop's colour pattern as that one, so that's also a high digit. That's also a high digit, but this one is a low digit. Because again it's not on the same bishop's colour as this one. Now do the circles, let me just check the circles, do the circles have the same property as the squares? No, they don't actually. So I was thinking it would be very useful to know that this is a high digit if it has to see this many snake cells in. Well, it's actually going to be in one direction, especially because this is cul-de-sac, so it would have been huge, but it doesn't apply. The circle cells do not have the same property as the squares from a snake perspective. Okay, so probably this square now is green, otherwise the snake will branch. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tidy up some of these pencil marks using more secrets of whispers. So, the only other secret I know about German whispers concerns the digits 6 and 4. 6 and 4 are monogamous digits. They only have one partner on a valid German whisper line. You can see that if we put 6 in the corner here. What would these two digits have to be? Well, the only digit that 6 can pair up with, because it needs a digit that's 5 away at least, is a 1. And that's going to cause that pattern, which is going to break the rules of Sudoku. The same would be true of 4 here. 4 would have to be surrounded by double 9. It only has one partner. So we can immediately say these two squares can't be 4s. This square and that square actually can't be 6s. Right, so that's a 7, 8, 9 triple in box 1. And that square can't be a 1 because it's, well, in fact that square can't be a 2 either. That must be right. That's quite interesting because the snake has to pass through this square, so it can't just stop here seeing 2 cells. It's going to have to go into one of those squares, and that's going to mean it sees at least 3 squares. So that's a 3 or a 4, which can't be next to a 7. Again, 7 can only be next to 2 and 1 by the whispers logic. So 7 is in one of those two squares, where it will be surrounded by 1 and 2. If this was a 7, this would be a 1-2 pair. If this was a 7, this will be a 1-2 pair. Okay, but now that's not 6, and we're only seeing 6, so it has to go one more at least, which means that square is now 6, 7, 8 or 9. Now that can't be 6 either, because if that was 6, this will be a 1, and wherever the snake then goes, it will be another 1. So that's 7, 8 or 9. That's a 7, 8, 9 triple in the column. So is this restricted from being much larger? If this was 8, then this would be a low snake digit. And if this was 9, then these two, this would be a 6 then, and that would have to have a 1 above it and a 1 here. But that might work, because these ones don't see one another. That would put a 1 there, which would change which would tell us the snake then had to go into this square. No, a much simpler point. Where does the snake go from here? Now it can't go here, because the only high digit available, and the next digit on the snake is high, because this is lower than 5, the only high digit available is 6, but 6 is not 5 different from a 3 or a 4. So this is not snake, this is snake. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. Now, that can't be snake. Because if that's snake, the snake is seeing 5 cells. And that means, so this is a 3. We've proved it's a 3. That's absolutely beautiful. It doesn't tell us what this digit is. It tells us this digit is an 8 or a 9, because it's got to be at least 5 different from 3. So, no, it doesn't tell us anything about that. Well, it tells us that's the next digit. And that's a low digit, so that's 1, 2, 3. It's not 4, actually, this one. Because if this is 4, this will be 9 by monogamousness. And the snake continues into this square or this square, which would also have to be a 9, and the 9 here would see both of those squares. So that's a 1, 2 or a 3. One of these is a 7, so that's not a 7. In fact, that digit's the same as that digit, isn't it? Which is then going to go down there. That square's a... Oh, this is massive. I love that. This square's a 4, I think. I think this square's a 4. Remember, it's not a cul-de-sac cell, so the snake is passing through this in some way. So it must see at least 3 cells, and it can't be a 3, so it is a 4. But that's beautiful, because now it's monogamous, so it has to see 2 9s. Well, one of those, only one of these could be a 9, otherwise we'd have 2 9s in box 7. So the other 9 seen by this must be here, and now this can't be a 9. So this is snake. This is not 9. 9 is in one of those 2 squares. That's not 9 now, but that's well, actually this is now 8. So that's 8. This is not 8. Could that really be 6? That would be a 1, and one of these would be a 1. Oh. Well, it would have to be a 1 here, because the snake, if this is in the snake can't go like that, otherwise it's going to touch itself as it turns. Okay, these squares are a 4, 5, 6 triple in box 1 just by sudoku of all things. I mean, it is outrageous. Well, no. Yes, absolutely beautiful. This puzzle has been so cleverly put together. Right, there is a 4 in one of these squares. Now, by sudoku, therefore, there is a 4 here or a 4 here in column 1. Now, this can't be 4, because that's going to cause double 9 on the snake due to monogamous things. So this is 4. And I was going to say, No, that is good. That is good, because how could this go through this digit? I.e., if the snake goes to this cell, let's pencil it in and think about it. Then we know this is a 9, and we know the snake doesn't stop here. So either this is a 9 or this is a 9, and that 9 will see both. So this is not snake. So this is green, and the snake turns, and now we can capture the value of this cell, which is 7, which is surrounded by a 1-2 pair. Or maybe I could have got that a different way then. I just didn't see it if there was another way. This is low, and it's 1, 2, or 3. And for our next deduction, we will say that... Well, I am going... No, I'm not. Oh, I was suddenly thinking it's hard for this to be the way the snake moves, because the snake would have to do that, but it could actually do that, providing it doesn't bump into this square again. So it could do that. No, actually it can't do that, because where would you put the 5 in column 1? If all of these were snake, there's no place for a 5. So it can't go there. So this is, again, it's quite a useful property to get your head around when you think about how an orthogonally moving snake that can't touch itself has to turn. It always has to do quite a long turn. It's got a wide turning circle. What do I mean by that? Well, think about it. As this turns here, it can't immediately reverse back on itself, because the snake will touch itself in these 2 squares. So it has to go further, and then it has to turn, and then it has to do this. And now we've got nowhere for a 5 in column 1. So that, in fact, therefore, the snake goes there, which means that must be 9 by monogamousness. That's not a 9. This is off the snake altogether by the snake not being allowed to touch orthogonally. And that's a 9. So that is now an 8, which means that's a 9, that's an 8. 8 is in one of these 3 squares. By sudoku, 9 is in one of these 2 squares. The snake can't go there, or again the snake is being too naughty regarding what it's touching. And okay, the snake's going to have to go down here a little bit, I think. I can see that from the number in this square. I mean, I want the snake to just join there, but I'm not sure I can immediately just write that in. I mean, it could do something strange like that, perhaps. I say that without thinking about it terribly hard. I mean, there is a 9 down here. That's another deduction we can see. This can't be on the snake, because that is a cul-de-sac, and there's only 2 snaky cul-de-sacs, and we know where they are. Nordyttrio was kind enough to tell us that. This can't be on the snake, because it would be a corner of the snake, and the snake would be a ring that would look very much like a D, a capital D. So that's not on the snake. I mean, I tell you what is very odd, and that's that this can possibly have a unique solution from here, because unless I'm we've got I've got to capture the effects of this 4 clue, which means either this cell or this cell is a snake cell, and then the snake stops. So that's one thing we've got to think about. But I've got this one to think about, but I've got nothing else. I mean, there's nothing else to do. That feels like these 2 cells have to do a lot of heavy lifting. Okay, I'm going to start here because I saw something immediately about this square. This square is at least a 6. Now, even if it takes its maximum horizontal quota, that's only 4 cells, isn't it? So it must come down this way somewhat, at least 2 cells. Even if this is a 6, it must still take those squares. I mean, if it's a 7, it's got to take that one as well. Okay, so I suppose we fill in this with a low digit. Okay, which is a 1, 2, or a 3, because if it's a 4, it causes double 9 on the snake. So that's 6, 7, 8, or 9. See, this is weird. It doesn't feel like it's doing nearly enough. Oh, okay. Although, yeah, the fact this comes down here means that the snake doesn't take that square, I suppose. So the snake comes down to row 4, column 4, where it needs to have a low digit that's a 6 or a 7. So it can't be next to a 3 there. But it could still be a 6. It could be a 6 with a double 1 here, and the snake goes off this way. That's tricky, isn't it? Wow. Okay. Is it something to do with... I was wondering whether I could stop the snake going there, but I don't think I can. We might be able to say some things about which of these cells could be snake. I don't think... Oh, that one could be, if the snake did that. But that one can't be, because the snake would have to turn and hit itself. So I think all of these are out of bounds so far as snake is concerned. Wow, okay. I don't know what to do at all. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? You just have to take your hat off to it and just say, it's brilliant. I don't have a clue what to do. I know that whichever way these go, they have a low digit coming next. So can that be low? Absolutely. It can be a 1, 2, or a 3. And then the snake would go here, this would be a 6 or a 7. So it would have to be a 7 actually with a 1. Ah! Wow. Okay, that's harder to spot. That's probably the hardest step we've had so far. So now I'm noticing that if I do take the snake left here and take these two cells therefore, this is a high digit. It can't be 6 because 6 is monogamous and it would have double 1 in the column. And it can't be 8. Oh, could it be 9? Ah. Well, that's how you get out of trouble there. You make this 9 and then these are not under pressure at all. So if the snake does go this way, this cannot be a 7 and has to be a 9. But the problem with that is that doesn't disprove it. Let's check this way instead. Now if it goes to this square, this is low, as creating a 1, 2, 3 triple in the box. And in fact that would be a 1 or a 2. I don't know. Interesting. Okay, I can't see how to do this. What about... I don't know. I'm not sure what to look at, really. Is there some... Is there some meta issue here regarding... okay. No, I was wondering whether we knew generalizable qualities of the snake. I mean, we know these two don't join up, don't we? Because that's going to create a loop. So this, it looks like it has to join that. Yes, it does. I don't know how it does it, but somehow or other this cell joins with this. So this one, now the question is, does it join to this or could it join to that? Wow, no, it's absolutely possible that, I mean, it could do something like this. I mean, that might not work for some technical reason, But it's very hard immediately for me to see why that doesn't work. I mean, I can see a reason that doesn't work, but I could fix it. I could do that, and now you could put a 5 in column 9. So we don't know, I don't think. I mean, we know that one and that one join. That is something we do know. But I don't think we know whether this joins to this or this joins to this. And that's potentially a problem. Oh, well. Well, okay, I've thought of another thing about that. For this to join to this, it has to do that very carefully, actually. Because I've seen a reason it can't do that, which is that these two squares would be a 6-7 pair. So the snake would have to move like this, and one of these would be a 6, and it would be surrounded by double 1, and that won't work. So I know that that cell, maybe I know that cell isn't on the snake then, because if that was on the snake, we know this has to connect to this, so it can't connect to this, so it would have to come down here. And then this is a corner, and that causes a problem. So I do know that that's off the snake, which it still doesn't tell me anything. So this is either, because it could still do that. I think that is fine. This would be low, this would be high, but it's under less pressure. Because it couldn't be 6, but it could be 7 or 9. Oh, this can't be 6. Maybe it's as simple as that. This can't be 6 because the snake isn't stopping here. Oh no, it can be 6 if that's a 1. What am I talking about? Sorry. If that's a 6, that's a 1, and that's a 1, then we're in happy days, aren't we? But then this would have to be a 6. Oh, no, it doesn't work. Gosh, this is so complicated. Wow. Okay. I have a feeling there's a much more straightforward way of spotting what I've just spotted here, but I'm going to show you it because it's quite fascinating. So what I'm saying is, if this goes here, then we have to think about many things. Oh no, because could this be a 7? I mean, certainly if this does this, this can't be a 6. That's true. But what I was noticing is that this square here now has to be a 6 because it can't be bigger, because it can't see any more down here, and it needs to see all of these 3 in this direction. So this would be double 1. That would be a 1. That would be a 2. That would be a 2. This would be a 7 or a 9. This would be a 4. That breaks. Golly gosh, that's hard to see. Yes, okay, so right, so I think I've stumbled upon an easier way of understanding what's going on. So I'm going to come back to here and ask whether this can be a 6. And the answer is no. If this is a 6, well, I'm now changing my mind again. Well, it can't be a 6 it can't stop here. Okay, so I've changed my mind again about how I'm thinking about this. I really like it, but it's not easy for me at least. I now don't believe that this line segment here can stop. I think that is something I am prepared to stick by as a deduction. Because if this stops here, this is a 6 because it can't see more than 6 grey cells. And it forces exactly this pattern in order to get this to a count of 6. But now we have a problem in this row. And the reason we have a problem is that this digit is a 1, which sees this digit, which is a 2. And now this is a low digit by Bishop's colouring. And it has to be a 4 because it's going to see 1, 2 and 3 in its row. And this cannot be a 4 because it cannot be a cul-de-sac position. And that's going to cause this to be a 9, and wherever the snake goes, which I think would have to be here, to also be a 9. Actually, that would clash there as well. So there is no way that you can put a 4 on the snake in this position, and you would have to. So what we can in fact say is that that digit is therefore grey. Now that is useful. That is useful because that stops one of the orientations of the way the snake was moving from here. Because this can't come here now. So the snake has to drop to here. Now this can't come to here because otherwise the snake's a loop. So that goes downwards. This digit is... it's not 6, it's 7 or 9. We probably know how this closes. I'm not certain. This is now a low digit. 1, 2, 3. It's not 4 because it, in fact it's not 3 because it's next to a 6 or a 7. So I've got a 1, 2 pair in this column. This digit is now on the snake. Okay, well that's great because that means I can do all. I can green all of these squares. So the snake doesn't come to this square now, because that would only allow it to see 5, because this square would be off the snake. So that's off the snake. The snake does turn, which means this digit is 1, 2, 1, 2 or 4. I might still be able. My phone's ringing, and the snow is it's going to settle. This is a disaster. I think this could be 4 because that could be 9 and that could be 9, and then the snake does a sort of wide turn around there. I mean, that might not work again for a technical reason. If that's 4, this would be 1 or 2 then, and that would be much better. This might even be likely that it does that. Oh, okay, no, it doesn't do that because this is at least a 6, so it does have to take another cell here. Now this is then a high digit, which is a 6, 7 or 9. Well, it's not 6 because it's in the middle of a box, and it would have double 1 around it because it must have an inward path and an outward path from it. So it is 7 or 9. And this digit is not now a 9 because it can't see 9. So this is 6 or 7, and that can't be next to 4. This is brilliant. It's absolutely bizarre. Now I've got a 1, 2 pair here and a 1, 2 pair here. So this tells me how the snake goes next, because it can't come here. It would be a low digit and it would have to be a 4, and we've already thought about the effects of that. So it has to turn. Can't turn up because it's got to do wide turning circles, so it has to take that square. And this is low, and therefore it's not 8. So this is 1, 2, 3 or 4. It's not 1 or 2, in fact it's 3. Oh, this is lovely. It's 3 or 4. It can't be next to 7. Good grief. Good grief. Yeah, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Right, now we've got that's all filled in. Now, can it go there? It would only go there if this is 3 and this is 8. If it goes here directly, this is 6, 7 or 8. But it has to be... No, it'd have to be 8. So there's either an 8 here or an 8 here. One of these is definitely an 8. Or at least one of those. I suppose they could both be 8 and the snake not go there. That's also possible. Probably. This is a high digit, which is 6. Well, it's not 6, it's 7 or 9. I know this wants to be a 6. Oh, it is. It is a 6. It is a 6 because it sees 6. So it is actually determined. I was thinking it wanted to be a 6 because it would be funny to put double 1 around a snake on the snake, but it is actually a 6. So all of this gets filled in. Is that doing more? Yeah, this is a 1. So this is not 1. So that's not 6 now because it's next to at least a 2. That can't be 6 because it's next to a 2. So that's 7, that's 9, that's 8. 8 can't be next to 4, I suppose. So I've got a 2, 3 pair in this row. That's interesting. So I'm going to question now. This cell can't be on the snake. Because if it's on the snake by Bishop's colouring, it has to be low. It would have to be a 4. You can't put a 4 in the middle of a box on the snake because it's going to have an entrance and an exit and have double 9 around it. So that square is not snake. And now look, how does the snake get out of this place? It's got to come down there. Now that might not do anything, but it's quite cool. So this is now high, this is high. So these are 6, 7s, 8s, and 9s. And that's 7 or 8. Can that really be 6? If this is 6, no, it can't be, because this would be a 1, and that 1 would see both of those squares. So that is 9, which means these are not 9. This is low, and it's 4. Oh no, I've broken it. I have broken it. I've got the same problem. No, I've done this wrong. That's good. That's good. I was thinking there that all my logic was good, and my logic was exceptionally good, except in one important regard, where it was imbecilic, and that was, I said that had to be high. No, because I can't join these together directly. There's going to be another cell, which is going to be the high digit between this point and this point. Bishop's colours, Simon. So these are low. Thank goodness. So this is 6 or 7. It can't be 6 in the middle of a line. So that's 7 surrounded by a 1-2 pair. That's better, isn't it? At least that seems like it might work. Although, okay, so now I get a 4, 5, 6 triple into the gaps. That's not 4, so there's definitely a 4 in this domino. Which means that's a 4 by Sudoku, using the power of forage. 4 in the top row is in one of 2 places. That feels like it. Oh, well, actually, it is interesting. Because where's 9? That's got to be 9. That's got to be 4. So this column now needs 3, 5, and 6, I think. And these squares are now known. They're 3, 5, and 7. I sort of feel like we can probably improve upon that. I mean, I can see that's not 7 and that's not 3. 3, 5, 7. That's not 7, therefore. And in this column, we need 1s, 2s, 6s, and 8s. So that's 2 or 6. 1, 2, 6, 8. So 1 and 8 are definitely in this triple. Okay. In fact, this could never be 4, Simon. How could this be 4? It would have to have 9 here or here, which is impossible. So that's 3. The next digit is 8, and there's an 8 here now. So that can't be 8, so it must be here. So this is off the snake. This is not 3. This is 3. Now we're going to learn these digits. Their nature is 2, 5, and 6 by Sudoku. So these digits are 4 and 7. We can do that. So that's 7, that's 4. That's 7, that's 5. That's 5, that's 6, that's 4. This is great. Look, we're actually on a little roll there for a moment. Oh, 1, 2, 7. Can we do that? These are a 1, 2, 7 triple. Maybe. That's not 7. So this is, that's a 1, 2, 3 triple in box 4. So that's a 7. That's a 9. That's not 7 anymore. And this must be a 6. And I've got a 1, 2 pair in row 4. So that's 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. These squares are 5 and something. 5 and 9. The Brighton line. No, we're not going to get into bingo calling on cracking the cryptic. We're already in the realms of lunacy already. Right, that's not 7 or 8 now. So it's 6 or 9. This is a 3. So that's not a 3. So these are 2, 5, and 6. This is a 2 or a 5. And these squares are 8 and something. 3. We can do that. That's 3. That's 8. Oh, bobbins. I was hoping we were going to know which way the snake went. But actually, the snake could even go all the way along, couldn't it? There's nothing to prevent that. All right, let's have a look down here. 1, 5, 6 into these squares. Let's put that in. We know very little about the bottom of the grid, though. And these squares are 3, 7, 8. And that square's a 2. So that's not a 2. It probably is going to be thinking about Ah, beautiful. That's a 7. So we can't go 9 to 7 on the snake. That most certainly is not whisperable, is it? So we've got to go here, and this has to be low, which has to be 3. So that does some things. This is now 3. Are we going to get... No. No 3s in the corner today, I'm afraid. But this 4 is not complete. We only see 3, so that's got to be grey. And then the snake finishes. It literally finishes because that is one of the ends of the snake. So all of these squares are off the snake. And we can continue. This has got to be correct polarity. So this is low. Still doesn't resolve. Okay, well that's still good. And I do now believe the puzzle will finish. I think we've just got to be, or I've just got to be a bit intelligent about what to do next. 3, 5, 6, 9. So this square is a 5 or a 6, which is a pair in the column. So this is now. So I see the question. The better question is where's 9 in column 9, and it's only got one place it can go, and that's a 3. And we've presumably got all the 3s in the grid now. Ah, I've got a 5, 6 pair in row 7, so that's an 8. And that's a 1. So in this row, we need to place 2, 4, and 7 into these squares. I'm looking at that expectantly, but I can't see how to do it. I can see that's not 7. Bother. Okay, the snake does not go there, because to do so, this would have to be a 6, and the 6 can't see a 1 in its next position. So the snake must turn into the 8, where it could go into the 3, or it could drop here to a 2. And the 9 could go up to a 3, couldn't it? Have we got any more of these funny clues to avail ourselves of? Probably not. Okay, so we do need to have an... Oh, I see. It can't go into the 3 because it would then go into a 2 or a 4 for its next digit, and those are too close together. So it does go here, and that forces that to be a 2. And on the snake. Now it can't go there or there, so it has to go here to a high digit, which is a 7. Only thing it can be, because it sees 8 and 9, and it can't be 6. And that 7 is beautiful because that's doing some work over here. And that 2 is beautiful because that's doing some work, which is getting rid of a 6 up here and a 4 here. Oh, this is a 7 now. Okay. And maybe this column? 2, 5, and 8? Yeah, there's 8 in this column, can only go in one place. That's 5, that's 2, that's 6, that's 5, that's 6, that's 1. So that's 6, 6, 5. That's 5, 6, 2, 5, 1. And we need to put 4 and something into this box. So 4 goes there, 2 goes here. But we haven't finished the snake, which goes into none of those, none of these positions. Oh, no! Oh no, I haven't. I suddenly thought I had an ambiguity at the end. I was like, no! No, but the 7 can't go into the 3. They're only 4 apart. So it has to go down, and that completes the snake. Look, what a puzzle that is. That is so... absolutely brilliant. Loved it. Loved it. Nordyttrio. Nordy and yttrio. That's fantastic. 162 people have had a go at that. Well, they've all, I'm no doubt, they've all had as much pleasure as I have solving that. That is so clever. It really is. It's fascinating. There are a couple of points where I think there may have been a smoother way of seeing what I needed to see. But, I mean, it's a weird thing that this grid exists even, isn't it? Let alone that you can just pinch, you can specify the head and the tail and specify 4 clues that have to see the right number of cells, and then the German whisper just flows out of it. Mind blown. Mind blown. Let me know in the comments how you got on with this one. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.